All right, what is up, y'all? It's episode 66 of Your House, Our Rules. We're back here with just Mike today. Got a little bit of the old school crew together, so we're going to do the damn thing today. We're going to get right into the topics that we had. We're going to talk about Maui a little bit, but something that ties into it that I just got done witnessing. I just watched UFC live from Singapore. It got done at 11 o'clock. The main card started at 8 this morning. And let me tell y'all something. Korean Zombie ended up retiring tonight, and he was fighting in the main bout with Max Holloway. When he walked out, there were some things. There was some thoughts that he was going to retire after this fight, depending on how he did or whatever. So he walks out, and he has his opening song, which is "Zombie" by the Cranberries.
Yeah.
And when he walked out, the entire crowd was just singing "Zombie, Zombie, yeah," and it was something special. Like, I was getting chills watching it. And then, Max Holloway walks out too, and they all had their UFC Heart Hawaii shirts on, and it was a telltale sign at the beginning. Everyone had them on, all the refs, all the coaches and stuff like that, and you could tell that this was for Hawaii. And having Max Holloway, who is a native Hawaiian, and I didn't even know that until the fight started.
Yeah.
Coming out and fighting and doing it all for Maui. He said after he won, he ended up winning the fight in the third. It was a great fight. Zombie came in the third and was like, you know what? I'm going out swinging. He's like, this might be my last fight, so I'm going to put it all on the line here. Came out, ended up getting caught with a right and got KO'd by Holloway, and that was the end of the fight. But Holloway dedicated all to Maui and this displacement of all those people during the wildfires and stuff like that. And it was just a beautiful scene. Beautiful scene.
Yeah, and it's good to see something like that. You know what I mean? It's good to see UFC. I mean, I love that. First and foremost, I love that organization.
What, UFC?
Yeah, and I think Dana White is one of the best heads of any.
He's definitely good at making money.
Of any sport
and putting together fights, so I'll give that. Yeah, he does a good job,
but he doesn't take shit.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't,
and I do love that about him. The one thing I will say about the UFC is he probably could pay some fighters a little bit more. But
and while I understand that, I mean, I don't know their books, so I don't see the generated revenue minus expenses and stuff like that. So I have no idea. I'm sure they probably could.
The O'Malley fight, I actually saw something. I'm in an MMA page that I just joined a couple weeks ago on Facebook. Apparently, it was they thought that it was not complete, but they had thought that it made about $38 million, and Sugar Sean, who won the championship in that, only made $550,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're talking about cuts compared to what they made, it could be a little bit better. That's why I will say about that. But I do love the UFC. I love watching the fights. It's one of my favorite sports to watch. So just love me some violence, man.
Dana White's a great businessman.
Yeah, for sure.
He does things the right way.
Phenomenal businessman.
He doesn't take shit from any one organization. He does things his way, and I respect that about him, because he's not, he doesn't take the any of the cancel culture, or any of the woke. He's like,
during COVID, when everything was shutting down, he was one of the few sports that just kept on trucking.
He transitioned, man. He transitioned things to where it worked out, and I mean, he did that for the fighters,
right?
To make sure that they could stay afloat. And
he said, I watched him on Nelk Boys podcast when he came on. He was the first guest, I think, on Nelk Boys podcast.
Yeah, they're real close.
Yeah, for sure. They were at the Sugar Sean fight, front row and shit like that, and. He said during that, he was like, I told my employees, he's like, this could get a little bit rough. He said, we're going to face some backlash, but you know what? I'm going to continue to put these fights on, because I don't think it's necessarily what they're making it out to be. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean.
No, but that's a cool thing that, I mean, especially since the Korean Zombie was retiring. I mean, he went all out and went for it. I mean, that's all you can. That's all you can ask for from an entertainment standpoint for a fighter, especially if it's going to be their last fight to do that. But that is chilling, that walkout. Love that.
It was. You should have seen it, bro.
I'll have to find that and watch that. Yeah.
Maybe I can get it for you. It'll probably be up on YouTube by the time this is over. We can give it a watch or whatever.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the point at hand, which is the Maui Wildfires. If you guys don't know, we're a little bit late to the party, so I'd imagine a lot of people do know, but we're going to talk about some of the extra stuff that comes with it. There were some wildfires that were going on in Maui, and a lot of people died. There were videos of people like jumping off the shores and stuff like that to get into the water because they were cornered from the wildfire. It's an island, so they had nowhere else to go and stuff. A lot of people lost their homes. There was a lot of stuff going on with all that. But I was reading an article this morning to prepare for this, and there was this lady who her grandpa had bought this estate in the 1940s. And after everything happened, she got all these corporations emailing her trying to buy in because, I think they said that the average, Zillow had the average of like $1.1 million was
for an evaluation.
For that. Yeah. And they were, because it's all burnt down, obviously trying to pay a lower price for that because it's all going to grow back. If you know anything about that too, the lava or the soot and stuff like that, it actually does help shit grow back. But for a while, it's going to be pretty desolate. So,
right.
But they can build on that, and they have the financial means to do that, whereas someone like her did not. And it's just kind of a sad thing. But what do you because you're the real estate agent here? What do you kind of think about the situation?
I mean, I've heard and I've seen videos and stuff of people that were either from Maui and maybe not even there, or those who were there and survived and kind of witnessed it firsthand. They're getting basically prospected by agents, real estate professionals, and saying, "Hey, I'll pay this amount of money for the land that was underneath the property that you had that burned down," like almost immediately after it happened.
Yeah, I saw Stolze shared in our group chat that the state was actually seizing the land that was burnt down.
Which makes me think, then, what was the ultimate plan here?
Well, there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around that the fire was started. It wasn't by natural means, and
lot you can think into, and we'll see in 6 months to a year whether that conspiracy theory or any of the things that people have thought of as a result of this come true or not. But
as all conspiracy theories kind of come to light, it takes a little bit to get out. But when there's corporations that are going to be able to profit off this or fucking get their way with everything, it makes it look bad. But at the same time, like, you can't hate the capitalist fucking machine for doing its thing.
I mean, if I was in that position, I don't know how one would be able to sleep at night taking advantage of someone's life and their community and their culture and what they just went through. Yeah. Like, if I'm one of those real estate agents, I mean, I would never do anything like that. Not ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I would see what I could do for the community to help. And if there's anything that I can do for any of those people, like, what is it that I can do for you? Not, hey, can I buy that? Or I have somebody that wants to purchase this. Almost immediately after it takes place, that's terrible.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the things about it is, though, it's not necessarily individual people; it's more of the organization.
Correct.
And when you have just billions of dollars behind those organizations, or millions of dollars, or whatever, it kind of becomes this machine at some point.
Would you work for an organization like that?
Would I work for an organization
personally?
Like that? Yeah, probably, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, my morals and stuff like that aren't necessarily the highest.
I've
never been that type of person.
I
find it sad. If I was the person in that position, I would definitely be very pissed off. But at the same time, I might be more willing to do it than just roll over and die.
Right. So, and there's some people that are going to look at it from a business perspective and not put any emotion into it. But the emotion's got to be a lot more, riding a lot higher into that situation because of the fact of what happened, the fires and communities burning down and people dying and like I've read and watched some stuff about they basically barricaded people from being able to leave too. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they barricaded the police force, and there's some other institutions and people that have basically barricaded individuals from being able to leave the areas. And
during the fires?
The ones that survived were the ones that got around the barricade, and the ones that didn't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, now
and they're thinking that's because of a specific reasoning as to why this all took place.
Well, if you're talking about like the state or these corporations that are seizing the land or whatever, it would be a lot easier if the people were dead.
Correct.
To seize that.
That is absolutely correct.
I mean, yeah.
I watched that. I mean, there's something Alex Jones, Alex Jones put out about it. And then, so like I looked into, and I just watched a bunch of different things, and it was one of the things that popped up. But I then took the information of what was said and then looked into whether or not it actually happened or how much truth there was to it. Yeah. And quite a few things that were said, not even just by him, but by others, actually were.
They add up. Yeah.
They add up.
No,
right.
they definitely add up.
Or at least you can see it adding up.
Yeah. And my thing with, I know a lot of people, the second that you say Alex Jones, are just immediately turned off to it, but he's had a lot of things that have come
been
to
wrong.
fruition.
From what I understand, he's been wrong for like maybe on one or two different things, but for the most part, things that have come to fruition that he said, and I don't care who it is. You can Alex Jones or it doesn't Joe Rogan, Theo Von. Like I don't care who talks about it on a podcast or on a platform.
He's so polarizing, and the thing about it is, it's like sometimes he's really right on the money with things, and other times he's so crazy that it's like even if it is true, it's like I'm not going to believe that unless you have just empirical evidence that is going to fucking absolutely prove that right.
Right.
Like,
and to a degree, I mean, there's from what I've seen and looked into and done my research, because I think it's important not only for researching the topics that we have at hand on this podcast, but also diving, doing a deep dive into things that kind of branch off of that, right?
Yep.
Because there are things that maybe we're not aware of or that we are aware of that maybe we didn't do our due diligence on that like have come to fruition from what people have said.
Right.
Alex Jones or not, whoever it is. I mean, if there's things that have been discussed about a certain topic like Maui and the fires and things that have happened, and you look into those things and see that a lot of that has come to fruition with what they're talking about, then what is it's like, okay, what is the end game? Who's doing this and how are they like getting away with it? How are these people not being held accountable if this is indeed the case?
Well, maybe it's one of those things where actually finding the individuals that are involved in it is hard because, like I said before, you've got these giant corporations.
Eventually.
It's like probably eventually there'll be enough whistleblowers to get to a pinpoint, but where we're at right now,
probably
the damage will be done before we figure out exactly who it is.
It's crazy.
And unfortunately, they're not just going to hold the whole corporation in contempt.
Oh, that's the problem. And that they'll continue to do those things in other areas.
And technically, I don't think what these people are doing is illegal. They're just, it's a capitalist country. They have all this ruined land. It's an opportunity for them. So
unless they were the ones that had something to do with the
that would be illegal.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So then, how does something like this happen? And how can you not think that maybe they had something to do with this if that they're involved with it that much?
I wouldn't say all of those because there's a lot of different corporations that are trying to get in on this action. I wouldn't say all of them were responsible for it.
I'm not saying all of them are responsible, but if they knew and were understanding of the fact that they would have an opportunity to benefit monetarily from this.
To look the other way. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
You'll find out eventually what that is. But
at least hopefully.
Hopefully you would. Yeah. But I mean, it's at the same. But nothing will probably be done, just like everything else, because they have the money.
Yeah, exactly.
They're in a elite status to where nothing will happen because of the funds of which they have, and the people will look the other way and turn the other cheek, and those people that turn the other cheek, they're in a position to be able to do something about this. Will also benefit from it, I'm sure, from a monetary standpoint.
Yep, of course. Now, let's dive into a little bit of why they would want to do this, not only just to get it or whatever. I know Alex Jones kind of alluded to it, and Stolze was talking about it in the group chat or whatever. There's kind of this theory going around that these kind of like shadow governments, New World Order type thing, they want to get rid of these like rural living people and stuff like that, so they can all put us into like these big cities and then create like a surveillance state, kind of like China is.
I've seen a very minimal amount of information on that. I've seen more information about them basically pretty much migrating themselves, like these people in the elite status or whatever, taking over that area themselves and benefiting off of that area, but also migrating themselves to where they're basically on their own little island, and then that way no one can
no one can monitor them, but we can monitor everyone else.
Correct.
Yeah. And if you want to go by those means, I mean, it would
Either
make sense,
way,
but it's one of those things where, of course, you don't have much evidence to like look into it because they don't want to be known. That's where all these conspiracy theories kind of get shunned away a little bit because there's no real evidence to prove this.
Yeah, there's no definite. Yeah, but at the same time, either way, whether it's what you just said or what I just said, regardless, that is for the benefit of the people in that status.
and no one else.
And no one else.
And that's the minority.
It's devaluing the people of the country who put those people in the position of power.
Yeah.
I like if I voted for somebody and put them, you know, and was supportive of them, it's like I look at that as like, you're our employee because you're supposed to do what's best for us.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it's supposed to be. And when it's not, nothing can be done about it.
Well, it can be. It's just a matter of, do you want to be a sheep or a wolf?
Right. But I feel like nothing could be done from a legal standpoint. I mean, I'm
not talking about a legal standpoint. I think if you really want to do something about it, I mean, there's a reason why we have the Second Amendment or right to bear arms and ability to form a militia. It's in case your government does not meet
it's
your
to take a it's a tyrant to go against a tyrannical government. Yes.
And this is the type of stuff that those constitutional laws are put in place for, so we can fucking rise up. And it's outside of the law. It's inside the law and outside the law. It's kind of like a gray area, you know what I mean? Because our Constitution gives us the right to do it, but at the same time, you're rising against the government to create something new.
Right. Yeah. But look at the people who have done something like that, and what's happened to those people. They've been either put behind bars or taken out.
We're way too advanced for a civil war now. I mean, when it comes down to it, if the president were to, do martial law, we wouldn't stand a chance. I mean, yeah, we got people with guns who are armed in their houses or whatever. If the government and the military really wanted to run through them, they would run through them.
That's what I'm saying. So really, that's not really even an option then.
Yeah.
You know? So when you look at it, then that's why they get away with these things, because they know in the back of their minds they can't do anything.
Wouldn't say that it's not necessarily an option, because if there's no one to rule over, what power do they hold? Know what I mean?
Right.
So if everyone were to rise against it, they might not be willing to do the martial law because, there's nothing to rule afterwards.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
That's even worse then, because if you're rolling over nothing, then no one's, people have been taken out.
That's the full divide that if it ever got to that place would be the change. So
correct.
There's only one way to find out.
That is true.
Anarchy, Mike.